In games and film, you rarely hear just one version of a musical theme. The same melody often appears in totally different forms, different characters, depending on the moment, that take it in totally different emotional directions depending on what the scene needs, what the character needs. I wrote 3 different versions of this melody, this theme, and I want to show how the exact same motif can tell 3 completely different emotional stories here. This is the theme without any other harmonic context, just as it is, because it's going to be sort of recontextualized. Everything else around it, which instruments it's going to be played on, what's going to be supporting it, are going to be the things that change, but the part that you sing, that's the part that stays the same. This is the main version in my mind. This has all of these lush, kind of swelling string parts and more full orchestration and this more kind of push and pull emotive sort of sense to it that gives it a little bit more of this sense of leaning into some of these moments and back out. The emotional intent of this is to kind of I'm picturing the character at some sort of pivotal moment where we're seeing or we're learning something important about them, and there's something that really matters, and this is meant to sort of highlight one of those moments. In a lot of ways, this is meant to be the most full version, where we have the main melody that we hear and some counter melodies in the flutes and woodwinds. In the piano and the orchestral version, the melody feels very close and intimate and personal to the character. But in this brass fanfare version, it feels more public, it feels more victorious. Moving the melody to the brass really changes the character that people really associate this type of instrumentation with a more triumphant sort of scene here. So we can take this familiar thing that we've seen before, but be hearing it in this new context and get a new character out of it. This is more marching feeling. This is more like a victory parade. And this rhythmic drive sort of creates this sense of forward motion in a way. This is sort of charging forwards. This next version is the more reflective solo piano version, where we hear that same melody, but there's more space. It's just on piano and it feels maybe a little bit more pensive or sad. Here I'm picturing some sort of story moment where the character has to pause for a moment and reflect on something that has happened, something that has weight, but they're not in the moment. They're considering something, but it still has that main melody, and you know it's tied to that character. These kinds of thematic transformations are something I really like when I'm listening to a game soundtrack or watching a film, where I get to hear something that I recognize, but it gets recontextualized and you kind of know how to feel about this new moment, and the music helps you become attached to the character. All of these things sort of work in synergy together, and you feel like you've gone through this process of growing and evolving with your character, and the music is helping to support that where you have that same core person, you have that same core theme, but you have all these different transformations of it along the way.